go. It's Monday. How's that possible? We don't do this on Mondays. Well, we do now in the new year for lots of reasons that we'll get into. But hey, welcome to ADRAMADA in 2026. I am your host, Dave Rush, and you are the proud ADRAMADA Armada. So it is Monday. It's the year 2026, and nothing has changed other than the fact that we're back. And many thanks to Patricia and lots of other people, but mostly Patricia, who keeps gently nudging me, sending over a giant sledgehammer to my forehead. When are you going to do the show again? And she's right, but we had some legitimate interruptions and some not so legit, but problem solved. So, if you are new to the show, and some of you will be in 2026, this show is devoted to collecting and disseminating information about technology and its uses. We're not a PC or an IT show, though that certainly comes into play, but we like all kinds of tech. And in particular, it's not just the tech we're interested in, it's how technology impacts the advancement of our daily and long-term lives. So topics are wide-ranging. We celebrate technology from your old-timers, here it goes, from electric cars to electric guitars, music and movies, the synergy of energy, booting to computing, Linux to ethics, the chase to space, we got space news today, cyber to fiber, security to electricity and Raspberry Pis and Li-Fi and AI. And we're not afraid to delve into social topics, including religion, sex, and politics. So, let's do a little bit of start here, and then I'll find out who's turning up and what you're doing. First of all, can you hear me? I didn't even bother to look here. Live, 5x5, good. Nag, I didn't, no. You do not nag, thanks. I truly appreciate the reminders. Okay, so it is Monday, January 12th. This is the beginning of the second full week of 2026. And for 3 years, we've been doing ADRAMADA on Thursdays with push days to Friday. But because of my work schedule, especially in the last year, Thursdays always get kind of sucked up. And we had to do that push day all the time, and there were logistical problems with that, so kind of reevaluated, and there's lots of things going on, and we looked at the calendars and said, you know what, excuse me, Monday is the day. So here we go. Hope you had a great holiday season at the end of 2025. We hope that no matter how 2025 was for you, that 2026 brings you new hope, and that for all of our lives. For ourselves, we did Thanksgiving a day early because the kids traveled to Japan on Thanksgiving Day and brought back wacky gifts. I know you can't see it marvelously clearly at the moment, but up here we have Mothra. And let me see if I can get the camera view on here. Mecha Godzilla. And he's a really cool Mecha Godzilla because he looks metal, but he's very plastic, is what it is. And I won't even share, nothing dirty, but I'm not going to share with you the other wacky gifts from Japan, at this time. So it was just me and the missus on regular Thanksgiving Day, but we held Thanksgiving with all the usual stuff the day before, and it was pleasant. From Christmas through New Year's, the kids were here. And you would think, hey, it's great to catch up with all the family. And no, because I'm not a boyfriend or a girlfriend. So we got to watch some football a little bit with family. And otherwise, if they weren't sleeping, they were out and about. How it goes. My son got us tickets to the Texas Bowl, where the wife's alma mater, University of Houston, beat LSU. Is anybody here old enough to remember Lil Abner or Gasoline Alley? There was a fictitious school there called LSU. down in the holler, and they called it Lower Slobovia University, and that has stuck with me since my childhood. So LSU will never have anything to do with Louisiana. It's just Lower Slobovia. That was supposed to be a snoozer of a game with UH running away all over LSU. Ah! I won't bore you with too much football, but it opened up in the first 7 or 8 minutes with 2 LSU touchdowns, and you could see the UH crowds clearing out. And the stadium is, all of 15 minutes away from everybody who came to see the game. So real shame because they missed what turned into a barn burner of a game. Back and forth, scrappy with lead changes. And in the end, the Mrs. School was victorious. All right. The people that are here live right now know most of the answer to this question, and I'm not going to give all the answers, but for those people who have watched our shows on and off over the years, you have to have wondered, where's it been? And we've been off the air for about 6 months. And we are fully back because we've resolved the work and the day problem. So that was problem number 1. And problem number 2 is that at the end of July, I had a health scare. And it was resolved fairly quickly. Like they put me in the hospital for a day. And then because of, I don't know, in my humble opinion, revenue stream purposes, they kept me in for another half a day. But by then I had been moved out of here and, pretty much put in the child's playground, the ball pit, for all the care and concern I was given. I wasn't worried about it. But this kind of scare is pricey. So pricey that I met my insurance deductible. Now, with whatever happened, there was just tons of doctor visits and adjustments on meds and follow-ups and in the gym and with all that, and I was able to maintain a work schedule. 2 days after I got out of the hospital, I was gigging again, though they poked a big, gigantic hole in my arm, and as a result, they gave me a limitation in 3 weeks. I wasn't allowed to lift more than 5 pounds. So, okay. But I got a left arm. So, with all that insurance deductible taken care of, I decided to double down on something that I had already decided and started working on 2 months prior, and that's to get caught up on all of the things that I've ignored over, the last 2 to 3 decades. So it's working. I won't say that I'm in the best shape of my life. That kind of happens between 17 and 25, but I'm certainly in the best shape that I've been in for the last 25 years. So I'm eating healthy because they make me eat healthy. And my A1C is normal. My BMI is normal. I'm still a little bigger than I want to be, but next target is wedding weight. And then the target after that is birth weight. My cholesterol is normal. I'm in the gym 2 to 3 days a week. I'm working out 6 days a week at home. I'm doing over 1,000 sit-ups a week. I'm doing 11 miles a week. I'm doing cardio and strength training at the gym. My waist, I don't own a pair of pants that fits, except for the ones one pair my wife got me for Christmas. So I went from 42 down to 36. And I think I may get 34 before we're done with this. So what's it all come down to? Diet and exercise. And a few meds. 2 things, and then I'll close this topic up. 1, elliptical machines versus real running. I love elliptical machines. There you go. They're easy. You work hard. Don't I break a murderous sweat. I have to clean up after me over in the gym, but my gym is done at where I was going to. I'm picking a new gym that's closer now. But until I get that picked and get all the trials done and all that, I went out and did real running for the first time. You know that thing when you don't do real exercise for a long time and you go out and you just bust one out, and the next day you say, oh my God, I hurt. Oh my gosh, I feel muscles that I didn't know I had. Yeah, well, it's taken maybe 6 days for most of that to fade away. The jarring and the actual real stride length and the real stride height. Ugh, murderous. Also, I now eat so much salad that the other day, walking out of the gym to my car, I was attacked by a herd of rabbits. And by the way, a herd of rabbits is a legitimate term. If they're wild rabbits, it's a fluffle of rabbits. And when you talk about them all living in a place together, it's either a warren or a colony. You know how I am about grammar, so fine, I got out of that way. As many of you know, a little more I. Deal with it. It's a paragraph. I officiated swimming for USA Swimming for about a decade. And that takes no stamina at all. You either stand in position when you're starting or when you're checking turns or whatever, or you get to walk up and down the pool while swimmers are doing it. And you can walk as fast as the fastest swimmer can swim. So, look, Oprah could do what I did. Lizzo could officiate these things. But what I always wanted to officiate was football. And I never considered it until now because I didn't think I had the stamina. I got it now. I can do this all day. So I'm looking real hard at it. They're going to stick me in middle school and high school for a couple of years if I do this. And the only reason I haven't started the training yet is I'm trying to get a good handle on football schedules and see how much that's going to impact my job and what I want to do here. But high school footballs are on Thursdays typically around here. Of course, college ball is on Saturday. And I would be qualified for either. So I'll let you know. And the last thing, since we brought up football, what time is it? It is 7:12 and change. Kickoff. Houston Texans at Pittsburgh in 3 minutes. So I'm going to miss the first 45. And so will you live. But I will be in there as soon as this show is done. Hey, well, that's the deal. Let's see who be here. We picked up somebody else. Jason's there. All right. Well, so I did some testing earlier on this machine. I've been moving one machine to the other. I'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. But everything is now developed on this machine, and the broadcast's on here, so I don't have to develop on that one and then transfer it over. And there was a lot of pain involved with making a change. So this was a much easier day. Did some testing, and at 2:30 my time and 3:20 my time, Tullowit and Patricia were both here to see the testing symbology that is happening. So, then they're back at 6:50 and 6:52, and Jason's in. I beg your pardon. It's mostly gone. Of course it should be. It's been many, many months. Hey, I have great stories down the road of the adventures. Nothing medical, just great stories of dealing with people. Wonderful people, people who should not be walking this earth. What do we got here? So we're checking in 559. Hated to hear that, but glad you were one. Yeah, one back up. Yep, thank you. That's up. Everybody talking, good progress. Yes, thank you. And those of you who know the details, you are still the only people who know. If I ever open that Pandora's box to anybody else, I'll let you know. I'm just finished with the workout before we went live. Sweet. I love working out now. I did 250 sit-ups today. If I don't, I feel like I'm going to go blind. I miss it, and I'd have to do 500 tomorrow. I really did that one time. I had to miss 2 days because of work, and so on the next day I did 650, something like that, 600, and that was awful. Hey, well, we're gonna follow the usual template for now and see if we need to adjust it as we go. So we'll do what happened on this day in history. And this is what, January 12th. In January 12th, 1773. This is kind of a cool little factoid. The first public museum established in the North American colonies in Charlestown, not Charleston, but Charlestown, West Virginia, I'm sorry, South Carolina. Tip of the hat to Jason. Oh, by the way, I forgot. My new uniform now. All right, that's long enough.
Strangle your head.
I'm sorry?
Strangle your head.
Yes, it's very tight. Somebody across the hall from me here, across the desk from me, gave it to me as a gift. That thing is so tight it will cut off circulation to my brain. Anyways, so was a natural history, local history, and art museum, continuously operating through though the location and the collections have evolved. That's pretty cool, right? On this date, 1803, U.S. Senate approves Thomas Jefferson's nomination of James Monroe, 5th president, and Robert Livingstone, who I don't know what his point in history was, to negotiate the purchase of New Orleans from France, so there could be an LSU. 1820, England, the Astronomical Society of London, now the Royal Astronomical Society, was founded. And I was looking at the calendar, I didn't put this on here, but 1866, if I remember right, they also founded on the same date the Royal Aeronautical Society. 1906, we're talking about football. The Intercollegiate Football Rules Committee legalized the forward pass, saving the sport and a lot of lives, actually, because otherwise it was basically rugby. On this date in history, last one of these, 1966. This was not the first series. It was a movie serial before that, but Batman, starring Adam West, Burt Ward, and Cesar Romero as the Joker, debuts on ABC. Oh, let's see. We got Discord. I did all the links and contacts at the beginning on the chat. So if you want to figure out how to get to our Andromeda server, we would love to have you there. It's a techie and non-techie server. Just hit that invite. If you're missing it, look at the description on the show here, and you'll find all this stuff. My contact info, if for some reason you want to contact me, my X account info, and my Mastodon. It's all there at the beginning of the chat, or near the beginning. News of the week. So we got 6 months to catch up on. I said, I'm not going to do that. That's crazy. So I went back just a couple of weeks and I only picked up about 7 little news articles. So let me switch over to that. This is available on Facebook and on other places, but there is an account on X, or Twitter if you prefer, called the GitHub Projects Community. And every day they scan GitHub for projects of interest, and some of them are fascinating. 98% of them are free. Of course, it's GitHub. A, it's mostly open source. B, some of it's kind of beta. But I have used a lot of stuff that these guys promote. So their actual account, at GitHub Projects, all one word. But just look up GitHub and you'll see this account and called GitHub Universe and whatever. Good stuff on there. Slide number 2. Well, that wasn't what I expected. I didn't practice. There we go. So I have finally moved off my 4th generation laptop, which I've used since it was brand spanking new. I think it had, it had a 32-bit OS, and I maxed it out at 12 gigs of RAM. I did get a terabyte hard drive in there, but every time something new would come out, it just overwhelmed the thing. So I've been moving over to this thing for the last couple of weeks. Transferring has 1 R. This seems like something that should happen in a day, right? You copy the files over, you make a list of the applications that need to be freshly installed. No. Every time I want to do something on here that I used to do on there, oh, wait, I haven't installed that. Oh, wait, those files are still over there. So I take all the files that I expected, but every now and again, oh, forgot this one, gonna need that. I was setting up the show banner today when I realized, and I think I realized this a little bit before, but I didn't do it till today, it has some special fonts that don't come with Windows that I've downloaded and I purchased ages ago. So I had to go back and get fonts. Much bigger job than one would think. Had to do video editing and image editing today. Didn't have my editors online, so I had to install those. I installed GIMP, installed Backstone, installed Inkscape. That's a really important graphic editor for me, just for this show. It's almost the only thing I use it for. Lots of configuration changes, so much more. That's that. I posted this little factoid on the Discord server today. We have a lot of Godzilla fans here, the movies. There have been some very good ones, especially the early ones. There have been some okay ones, there have been some really awful ones. But last year, GMO came out, Godzilla -1, which was not a movie. It was a film. Not expected to do well. It was a rave. You know, when the critics rave, they did. It was great. And we've all kind of held our breath. Are they going to do a new one? Yes, they're going to do a new one. When? Well, that was announced today. There was Godzilla -1. On November 6th, Godzilla -0. And one can only hope that they don't do to this sequel what seems to happen to just about every other sequel ever made. So, gosh, I hope it's as good as GMO. That was good stuff. I've only got about 7 news articles today. I said that. So my weekend project, watching football and in addition to all the other things, was I bought a couple of mixers weeks ago and another one this week, and they were minorly, the first one was minor problems, completely usable. I took it, I've gigged with it, but I always knew that it was sitting there and that I'm going to have to sit down and take care of it. I bought another bigger one this week, the model you're looking at in the image today, that, I would rate it about a 6 or a 7 in functionality. So that became the project. Basically, this is new looking. It's pretty. It's lovely. It's gorgeous. If you saw the one I was working on when it came out of the shipping box, it wasn't new by any stretch. I got it from Goodwill. If you put any moisture on it, the dust on there was so thick, it would turn into clay. So I completely dismembered the whole thing, cleaned it inside and out, cleaned the contact, and fired it up. And one channel is a little humming. But so let's move that from a 6 or a 7, to a 9.5 to 9.8. Wonderful. And the same thing, cleaned up the other one. All its problems have gone away. He's perfect. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to do these kinds of things with today's topic, tools of the trade. In the science news that I was reading today in the health section, I don't know how quite to interpret this. Every new discovery starts with, we found something that might have impact. And probably 1 out of 500 of those things moves on to become a product, something truly usable. And I'm not quite sure where what I'm talking about here fits into that spectrum. But here's the article. I'll make it quick here. Newly discovered coffee compounds beat diabetes drugs in lab tests. And this came out, news released yesterday from the Maximum Academic Press. Roasted coffee may do more than wake you up. Controlled blood sugar, key enzyme, inhibits alpha glucosidase. Yeah, glucosidase. A key enzyme linked to type 2 diabetes molecules. So we'll see. But that's kind of cool. There is a sick astronaut on the ISS. News broke a day or two ago. They're going to bring them home. We don't know who it is. We don't know what the illness is. But that was the news that I saw on the news. Then when I ran across it today, I started reading in greater detail. A crew of 4 went up, including this particular astronaut, and they're bringing them all back. I don't think it's because they're all ill, but they're not explaining necessarily why. So I suspect it either comes with transport logistics, maybe one possible answer, where they were supposed to come back in May. They went up in August. So now they're going to come back. They're saying no earlier, that's the way NASA always speaks, no earlier than January 14th, so a couple days, and whenever presumably they get some shuttle up there that they can get them on. And I guess they, keeping 3 of them, missing their 4th person may be an issue. Maybe they're trained as a team to do whatever they were trying to do and lose one and they can't do the mission. I don't know. I think I had another theory, but you get the idea. Either way, the plan is to bring... I'm just seeing the edge of that note. I'll get in and read that in a second after slide 7. NASA is calling this a serious medical condition, and NASA says it did not occur as a result of anything that they were doing, any projects, any mission stuff up there. And last news slide. Got to get some either Raspberry Pi or Linux news in. There wasn't a lot of Linux news in the last couple of weeks that I was able to find. But Raspberry Pi 2 weeks ago released their latest patch on the Raspberry Pi Imager 2.02. And today, January 12th, they released a new patch fix for that has a whole bunch more fixes for the last patch. There, okay, new imager. I'm not going to read all that junk out there. So that's that. Where are we at on time? 7:28, great. That takes us back to the beginning. Transition. Hey, there we go. Man, there's so much going on. But we're going to follow the topic. So I have 2.5 topics on tap. We are not going to get through it all. I think I'm going to get through 1, which is good news because that means I got a show pretty much in the can ready to go for next week. And I'm going to mention the second one before we shut down. The 2 topics are tools of the trade, which is just kind of a little bit of a fun thing that says no matter what you do, no matter what field you're in, there are tools that are specific to just what you do. If you're a coder, there are IDEs, and there's your favorite IDE, and this IDE works with this thing that I do, and that one doesn't. If you're a street sweeper, whatever. So I kind of live primarily in 2 worlds. I live in an AV world. I live in an IT world, an instructional IT world, and I've been using a lot of stuff in the last couple of weeks, and I thought, this would be kind of cool. Let's break some of that stuff out and I'll show it to you. And there's something really interesting about that. A couple of them cross over, I suppose because they're both electronic. If there's time, I'll introduce the Cars Kit. Computer assembly and, repair simulator. This is something that I started a year ago. It's done. It's ready to go, and I want to give it the time that it deserves. And I told you last year, with bad timing, that I would like to entreat your assistance with this thing. It's not for me to make money, it's to help others. And so now we got a product, and we're going to start helping people with it. So, cars. And anything else? Yeah, I'll hold that till the very end. Let me set a 5-minute end of show timer. 7:55 would be a good time to do that. 55 p.m. So I can get to that last thing before we go. All right, there's no script for this. I just got a box of stuff that I'm going to share with you. So before I do that, let's see what you guys got going on. Okay, finished workout. That's where we left off here. Yeah, you look forward to it too. It's wow, huh? I dreaded it. The idea of 250 sit-ups. Are you kidding? But it started with a bad joke in the gym I was at. I was doing 50 a day. And I went in one day and just made a joke and said, yeah, I went from 50 to 250. And somebody said, how'd you do that? And I said, I started counting by fives. And I thought about it, and I thought, that was stupid. And I thought about marathon runners. You know what marathon runners to train to run 26.2 miles? They run 10. They run 12. They run 13. And they do it a lot, right? Now, they didn't start with 13 today. And they build their way up, and then they do 13s a lot. And then one day, they run out and do 26 miles. And I thought, well, you know what? If I'm doing 50 a day, how about I try 250? And I thought I was going to die. But I did it. And the next time I did it, it wasn't so bad. And now, I do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. On Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I still do 100. And then Sunday I take off. But I've been doing it like that for 2.5 months. And now I just love it. Yeah. Everybody's looking forward to it. My neck of the wood. Sweet. I watched football for the first time in a while the other day. I watched the Panthers choke like always. Now, I had that game on while I was working on mixers. Oh, somebody else just turned up. Whoever just joined, make sure you say hi. We miss you. Football. I have been bored with NFL this year. I haven't watched much football at all, even my beloved home team Browns. I've caught a few games here and there, but I am totally losing my love for the NFL. Can't wait for the sequel. Man, it's exciting. And we've got till November. Jeez, it's 10 months away. They contracted an alien virus. That movie is called Alive. Life. And it's awful. It's just basically every other alien trapped in a ship movie. Still, I caught most of it. Told what I was thinking the same. Remember Species, right. Yeah, well, except Species came to Earth. And it just killed everybody. There we go. Shia Moonstone. I was reading old notes and things like that, and got your real name here from when we interviewed you. Oh, man. So good to see you. Thank you. Not a sports person. It's okay. I think less and less people are. However, I did watch a hockey game the other day while we were eating in a restaurant. I been busy at work. Glad to hear it. By the time I get home, you're ready to zonk with you. That can be good. Amen. Okay, well, let us talk about some tools of the trade. I'm just going to pull these out at random. Do you ever get something and then it vanishes? So you get another one and then you find the original. I now have 3 of these. This, do I have enough light to pull this off? Yeah, this is an RJ45 crimper. Which way? I got to go this way. It also does RJ11s. Things that you care about when you buy these, or when you acquire them. You can't see it very well. So I can get it back here and get a little light on there. Up here you have what are called the dies. And when you close those, 8 fingers come down in this one, and it presses. Somebody take care of that Discord message, please. It presses all of the contacts in an RJ45 crimp connector into the wires that you have shoved into them. But before you can do that, you have to get rid of the insulation on those wires, and you have to cut those wires off so that they're all level. And for that, again, you can't see very well here in this image, there are 2 razor blades in here. One doesn't seal all the way, so that you can stick some wire in there, close it down. And by the way, I don't know if you can hear it, but this thing ratchets, and you want a ratcheting one. So, because if you let it loose too soon, wires can come out, and you basically have to scrap what you were doing, cut it off, and start over. So this one clicks, 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 clicks. Anyway, so you stick a wire in here, you squeeze it down all the way, and then you turn the wire, and it cuts the insulation off, leaving the 8 other wires in there. Then you get them all organized in the right color order, and they look kind of like this when you're done. And they got to be cut off level. So that's what the other razor blade is for. You stick the edges of those things in here, crank it down, and now they're level and ready to go back into the crimp. This is number 2 crimp tool that I had to replace. And then when it got lost, number 3 crimp tool. Paladin. Best manufacturer of crimp tools out there. And this is a cool kit. It's not the best crimp tool that they have out there, but it does have a crimper in it. It's got its own dedicated wire cutters. Comes with a package of RJ45s. Cool stuff. All right, what else do we have in here? I have a tool that I could not find today, but I know I have. Oh, this is another one. Yeah, there's number 3. I do have all 3. And this one doesn't crimp. But it's cool. He's got 2 razor blades in it. And maybe you can kind of sort of see there's a semicircle in here near this hand. Yeah, it's my finger underneath it. And that is the one's designed to stick the insulated wire through and then give it a spin or spin the tool and the insulation comes off. Then right next to it, that's the razor blade that's used to cut off all of the wires level. And then we've got the dies to crank them down. So I have a tool that I have with a kit that I couldn't get to today. Let's just leave it at that. But it's a really cool little thing. It's about the size of an old 4-function calculator. It's this size, and it comes with another little box size piece of electronics that sort of mounts beside it, and it has 16 LEDs on it. And you connect either into 2 holes here, the ends of an Ethernet cable. And you hit the test button on it, and it will tell you if you have any broken wires or misconnected wires or crossed wires or things like that. And you can pick these up online or at Micro Center for $7 to $10. Don't pay more than $10. Great little network cable tester, they're called. You know me. I flea market and I thrift market. And I was going through a thrift market one day. Oh, there it is. This is the wrong kit. We're getting there. We'll come back to you, buddy. You. And I found this tool, this electronic tool. Looked at it. It looked kind of beat up. It looked dusty and dirty. And I picked it up, looked it over, and realized it was another network testing tool. And the guy had it priced super cheap, like $10 or something. And I said, well, you know what? If for $10, I'll take a risk. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. He says, oh, it works. Okay, well, here's your $10. And I brought it home, and it came with the manual, and it came with all the stuff that it's supposed to. There's all kinds of cables and connectors and probes and things like that in it. Came home, and the only thing that was wrong with it is the battery was either dead or missing. Open it up, pop in a new battery, and wow. Cool thing. It's an ideal LinkMaster Pro XL. There we go. And it does initially the same thing that little $7 unit that I described. By the way, these are a couple $100 new. But what's really cool about this, and I learned something really useful from that, is let's say that for whatever reason, contractors were working in your building. We'll give it a reason. And they were poking holes in walls, and along the way, they broke a cable. They didn't know. They didn't care. When they got done with their job, they painted up and sealed up the hole in the wall, and everything is cool and copacetic to them, and off they go. Except one of the cables isn't working. And I can see which one. It doesn't have lights on it, and it doesn't have lights on the other end. So now I got to know where that break is. That's when you get a tool like this. Now, if you get one from Fluke, the best testing tool manufacturers out there, you're going to pay a lot of money. But it has built into it a piece of technology called a TDR, a time domain reflectometer. And what it does is it shoots out a pulse. And when it gets to the end of the cable, if it's a broken wire or if it's just a connector, it's not plugged into something else, that break will reflect the pulse back. And based on the connector that you had that connected to, it knows what kind of cable you have and what percentage speed of light electricity moves across that cable. And he says, okay, well, this is Ethernet Cat 5E, and that's 66% speed of light. And I know what time it was when I sent the pulse out, and I know what time it was when the pulse came back. And he does the math and says the break is 74.206 meters away. And now you got to go make a new hole in your wall if you want to try and fix it, or run a new cable, or hopefully you've got some spare cables running the wall. So this has a find a length too. And I assumed when I'm reading the manual and I saw that feature, oh cool, it's got a TDR in it. And I was wrong. That's not the only way to measure where a break is. We did a session last year on inductors, coils of wire and what their impact is on each other and how electricity works with them. Well, there's another component that I'm not going to do a class on right now, but it's called a capacitor. And a capacitor says take two conductors and don't let them touch each other, but get them near enough to influence one another. Just keep them in an insulated jacket and put them right next to each other. Or space them, take a couple of metal plates and space them apart. It'll do some neat electronic things. Well, the insulated wires in an Ethernet cable are capacitors and inductors. And this thing uses the capacitance. It says, well, 1 foot of cable has this much capacitance, and 2 feet has that much, and 70 feet has that much, and 22 meters has that much. Get the idea? So this thing figures out how long a cable is by the capacitance of the wires. So, cool thing. Keep your eyes peeled for this kind of stuff. What else we got over here? It doesn't matter if you never touch a computer or a network or the insides of a piece of electronics. This is a tool that every human on the planet needs. This is a digital multimeter. It checks volts, it checks amps, it measures current, it checks resistance. Infinite resistance means you got a broken wire. Zero resistance means you got a conductor. And there's different scales on here and all kinds of things you can do with that. This is a gift that I got 20 plus years ago from my family. It's a Craftsman, and it has hit end of life. Love this thing. It's a great old Workaday. I like it because it's got this great little stand on the back, and I could never afford a Fluke back in those days. Now that this is ready to die, it will be replaced by a Fluke. But checking anything electronic that's going on as far as voltage, current, or resistance in any device, this is magic. In fact, this one even makes its own voltage and has a beeper in it, so when you've got voltage happening or conduction or whatever, you can hear it on here. It's great stuff. It's got a problem. How about I want to measure something here in my office? No, it's another one. I want to measure something at my breaker box outside my house, however far away that is, 25 meters away. But in order to see the results are here. I could walk over there, I could throw the switch, I can come back here. But this is really cool. It's the same thing as that. It's a digital multimeter. I keep it in plastic still. But it's got Bluetooth. And what I can do is I can set it up here to measure something, and then there's an app for that. And I use it on my phone, and I go over to the breakers I want to throw or the switches I want to throw or whatever I'm doing, and I can watch the readings for this thing on my app without having to walk back and forth. I don't remember what I paid. Bought it new, 50, 70 bucks, something like that. All right, let's move away from non-electronics for a moment. You can use this for electronics. You can use this for a lot of stuff. I grabbed the wrong one. Sorry. I have two very similar things here. Handy hands. A couple of alligator clips. And these are great for holding things, small parts that you want to work on where you can't use your hand and do something. You need two hands to work on it. So these are wonderful. Pick up cheap ones for 10 bucks. They usually come with a magnifying glass too in the middle. You can get that out of the way if you like. This one took a dive. Off the shelf I had it on. And the magnifying glass went bye-bye. Still great for handy hands, and I wear glasses, so I don't need that. But if you want one with a magnifying glass, this is what they look like. So this is really good. You're working with really small parts. You got them held together in your alligator clips, and now you can get really close-up view. And again, these are about the same price. This is 10 bucks. They're not the greatest tool in the world. It's cheap Chinese stuff sometimes, but it's enough to do the job. What are you, my little friend in the box? Oh, okay. I love this thing. I think I showed this to you when I got it. We're doing on time here. Cool. 11 minutes. This says EMF tester. EMF is voltage, electromagnetic force. It's not an RF tester, but basically this says you don't know if there's power running through this cable in the wall in front of you. This will tell you. And power doesn't even have to run. It just has to exist, so you don't have to have anything turned on. So this is great for finding wires in walls that are connected to electric sources. I made one of these with a Raspberry Pi, but that one was really cool because $10, something like that. Thrift store find, a couple of bucks. Its problem is it doesn't have a lid to hold in the 9-volt battery. So I got a piece of tape holding in the 9-volt battery. This is an audio cable tester. You can see on this side he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 connectors. Same 5 connectors on the other side, couple connectors on here. And it's used to say, I want to test a cable. I can use any cable I want, test it any way I want, plug it into one side, plug it into the other side, any jack. Though that's not the intent. The intent says, you know what, I got an XLR cable here. Got these 3 pins in it. And I'm not sure if it's good, if it's wiggling, if it's whatever. So I take one end of the XLR cable, plug it into there. Take the other end of the XLR cable, plug it into the XLR jack on the other side. I got a label on here that tells me that's number 5. It looks like number 4. Dial this up to number 4. And the LEDs on here will tell me if it's good or if it's bad. And I can wiggle it and see it light maybe go on and off. Okay, I got a loose connection in there. So that's kind of how that cheap Ethernet cable tester works too. Slightly more automated. Magic stuff. I use this thing all the time. All right, I have 2.5 more things to show you, and that finishes today's tools of the trade. Let's start with 2 things that look like they're the same. It's a bottle of Kroger isopropyl alcohol. Looks like 2 pints. 16 fluid ounces. That's 2 pints. Buck, $1.50, something like that. Here's another bottle. Looks like this probably came from Walmart because it's Equate, and I think that's their store brand. Isopropyl alcohol. About the same price. Is there a difference? Let me see if when that comes up, if you can tell. Over here a little more. Well, I'll give you the secret. This Equate one, I can see that on there, says 70% isopropyl alcohol. This one says 91%. This might be great for taking off makeup. And that's where I would stop. Okay, this is junk. I would drink this if I were dying of thirst. Maybe not. 90% or better when you are messing with cleaning electronics. Okay, so pay attention to what you're buying when it comes to cleaning electronics. And 2 spray cans. If you don't know this guy, you're living under a rock. Again, something that's usable by anybody, anytime, anywhere. Canned air. It's not canned oxygen. It's canned air. You go through it pretty quick. But it's great for cleaning dust out under keyboards and things you at least want to try to avoid opening first. Just blow it out. 2 things to know about this. First of all, when the air comes out of there, it's wicked cold. You can use this almost as freeze spray. Second of all, if you turn it upside down and spray it or anywhere near, liquid comes out of there. It's useless. And it will empty this thing out really, really, really quick. So keep it under 45 degrees and as close to horizontal, the spray bar, as you can. 5 minutes. Perfect. Last item. This is contact cleaner. It is, a couple different versions of it. There's benzene. What's the stuff you use to start small engines? You put it in the carburetor. Well, whatever that is, that's this stuff. Don't use it on live electronics. But unplug your electronics, unplug the connectors from them, and this will clean out everything you've got electronic. Any underneath in the electronics area of knobs and dials and faders and sliders and whatever. This stuff also wicked cold. You shoot it, that was so cold, it's gone. It's evaporated. Still, when I used this, I did it all my cleaning during the first half of the game, and then I didn't plug anything in until the second half. I went through a solid can of this stuff, cleaning that out. All right, so those are some tools of some trades. There's a million of them. Share with us on the Discord server. I will go to the Discord server as soon as we're done here. Let me mention my last 2.5 things. So next week I'm going to talk about the cars kit, the computer assembly and repair simulator. Wow. Just wow. That's all I can tell you for now. If you know of a teacher, underserved schools, underserved classrooms who are into STEM, particularly computers and A+E kind of stuff, if you're familiar with that, get them in touch with me. We will make this available basically at cost. And it's not like some of, I don't know, places that I used to work for where we would sell these for $5,000. Way cheap. But it's different, and you'll see when I get there. The last thing I want to talk about is I have made the first steps, the first foray into, I don't see this as a business, but let's call it a new project. You know that I worked for some time as a kind of a super apprentice at a data center, setting up racks of gear and installing, and I tried to be a good intern there and learn some of the stuff, but they didn't have much time to teach me, so I've had to do a lot of self-learning. Well, I've got servers here at the house. They hog up room. And I've looked at pricing. I'm going to not rent space in somebody else's rack so that I can put my servers in there. I'm going to lease a half rack and set up my own little data center inside a real data center. And we're going to follow that project along, and that may be an open project. We may see where you're going to go with that. All right, let me check everybody's final thoughts here, and then I'll do my final thoughts, and we will close up the store. Reading messages, catching up. Some companies recommend 70%. Okay, well, if that's their recommendation, so be it. I recommend 90. Why? Because what's the other 30% in a 70%? Water. And that takes a lot longer for 30% water content to evap than 9%. So I stand by my recommendation. The higher the percentage, the better you're going to do. By the way, isopropyl alcohol is not ethanol or methanol. Okay, well, methanol will make you go blind, but ethanol will make you go comfortable. Isopropyl will not. You will be working both ends at high speed if you drink that stuff, assuming you don't go blind or die. You can burn your fingers on it, it's true. Yeah, 180 proof. Hey, legitimate vodka is a hell of a cleaning concentrate. Yeah, that's true. Contact cleaner, musician's friend. Yes, it's used in every field. Innocent. Would they need a minimum purchase? No. And I got 5 ready to go plus a demo. They come with a lab manual. It's got 31 labs in it. And as I come up with more, somebody comes up with ideas that we could do with the labs that are in there, or with the equipment that's in there, got regular video cards. I got, you know, the big size full monster video cards. We got stuff. It's an awesome kit. Yeah, self-hosting in a data center. We will have, again, we got a half rack. They suck up 4 U's with their own battery backup, the site that I'm looking at. You're going to suck up at least 1 U for your switch and 1 U for your router at least. And after that, it's room for servers and storage arrays. So we can get a lot in there. All right, well, let's wind this puppy up then. We're right on time to do this. Hey, everybody, thanks for coming back. We will do this every Monday, notwithstanding holidays and things like that. Next week, MLK Day. I'll put out notice as to whether or not we're going to do that. That's the problem with Mondays, is there's a lot of Monday holidays in the U.S. But this is going to work much better as a sentence now to close things up. I wish you a great rest of the week. Take care of each other. Take serious steps to stay healthy. Advice that I did not follow myself, even though I passed it on for 3 years, huh? If at all possible, call or visit your parents, and never forget, technology is great, but the greatest resource we have are still you and I. And with that, good night. See you on ADRAMADA next Monday and on the other platforms on. Until then, remember, how you do anything is how you do everything. Sayonara.